Good evening. Apologies, this session is at the towards the end, and towards the end sessions are almost very boring. But I'll try to make it more as much interactive as I can. I myself don't like the evening sessions. It's always like a graveyard sessions for me, but I'll try to make it as happening as I can. So my topic is about AI. AI for global supply chains, hype versus value. Before I jump to my topic, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ms. Nawan. I'm flying all the way from Pakistan. I'm the head of supply and demand planning for Reckitt business. It's been 4 years I'm associated with Reckitt, and these days I'm working on AI, which is actually a buzzword. I believe it's a buzzword. My boy, who is 12 years old, he keeps on changing his interest from one thing to another, starting from the Minecraft to the Roblox. Then now these days, the little one is about the Sonic, dinosaurs, Spider Man. So similar is our supply chain buzzwords. We keep on catching the buzzwords. Everybody is moving towards the AI, so we need to move our supply chain towards the AI as well. So I'll try to cover little bit of the topics. What is AI all about? First of all, hello, whatever languages you are speaking. Marhaba, Assalamu alaikum, gracias, siao. I don't know a lot of languages, but hello to everybody. This is all about me. I introduced myself, what I'm doing currently. I have been associated with GSK for around 12 years. That was my first company. And hi, anybody who is here from GSK. So I have all my emotions linked up with GSK always. Then I moved to Helion, worked there for around 4 years, 2.5 years. And then I moved to Reckitt. I'm a pharmacist by profession. After completing my pharmacy degree, I landed up in GSK as my first job. There was no any other option in my country. I moved to GSK. Then I realized I can play good with the numbers. So I moved into a supply chain role. I landed with a supply chain role. During my journey and during my professional life, I have been through number of transformations. And after that, as I mentioned earlier, I have concluded every 2 to 3 years, something new is coming to us as a supply chain professional. And we like it or not, we have to adapt it. And then we realize it's sometimes a success, sometimes it's a failure, and then we have to move on with something new. I've been through transformations. If I start from the bottom, Brexit and serialization when it was happening with the UK and Europe thing, SAP implementation, SNOP implementation in back days, dashboard Power BI when it came, it became bring a lot of hype. Warehouse network optimizations and transformation. What if my truck is, I'm sitting here, where my truck is, what's the temperature in my truck? Network optimization, what part of the world my truck is moving around. Now we implemented the Kinexus system. We wanted to be more AI friendly, so we bought Kinexus. E2E transformation, we want everybody all around the supply chain world in the organization to sync and work on the same language. And then the IVP deployment. For every transformation I have been through, I have only learned one thing, which I was talking about with one of my fellow colleagues last night during a dinner as well. No transformation is complete if we are just pulling into a one leg. It's always completed when we are talking about people, processes, and system altogether. We deploy the system, we don't train our people, we don't listen to our people, we'll fail. We, we bring the system and people together and we don't implement the process. We'll fail again. We have to work on all three components together to have a successful transformation. Moving on, these are the few agenda topics. Don't be scared. Look six, but I'll cover them quickly. I know it's a boring session, boring time of the day. Starting with the AI in supply chain components, it's just like an ecosystem. We were talking a lot about ecosystem throughout the day. What is ecosystem? How it's operated? But while we are bringing the AI all together, it also works like an ecosystem within the supply chain as an end to end. We bring AI into a demand forecasting. Our forecasting is getting better day by day. Our inventories are getting better. We are getting benefits in inventories. Logistics and transportation, we'll get benefit out of it. It will automatically be improved. Moving to a supplier management, we will, if we are putting it on a AI, our first three components are linked up with that. We can be towards the supplier management. Quality control management systems will be improving gradually better as well. Visibility of the dashboard will start appearing in a positive results. Cost reduction and implication in terms of the KPIs altogether, and ultimately a better customer and a consumer experience. And the risk management profiles will be getting low to a better and positive profiles. Very interesting slide. I loved it because it actually tells my journey as a supply chain professional. As a supply chain planning professional, I always work on two KPIs: error and forecast accuracy. I keep on telling this each and every month how my accuracy is performing. Started in 2005, everybody was in a reactive mode. We all were using the Excel sheets. We still are using, but in those days, we were on the Excel sheets, not using any systems. We are not adapted to it. In 2010, we gradually moved to a NAVE forecasting methods with a 60-40 rule. What we did, we started realizing last year this was happening. This year could be a same trend that could come along. We adapted it a little bit and we moved forward. In 2015, we started realizing a word of statistical forecasting. In today's world, if we realize the value of statistical forecasting, it was a first step towards the AI. Your systems were also, while we were talking, it's the stats that's coming in. Some kind of AI was used at that time as well. Baseline was there, seasonalities were there, still Excel dashboards were there. 50-50 was a measure where we were using. But again, if we were not using the dashboards, not the seasonalities, our actual master data or inputs were not there, we were failing at that time as well. Around 2022, post the COVID, we started realizing not always the statistical forecasting will help us work around in a supply chain. Why? Because one big chunk was around the sales or actual revenue around the COVID, which was the artificial kind of a revenue which was generated due to the spike in sales due to the COVID. And people started realizing that these are the outliers in our overall system. And then they started having a real demand planning come into a process. They started working around what should be the plan. It should be in more granularity in terms of the monthly, weekly, half yearly, and annual plans. But while we were moving towards more granularity, we started getting away from Excel, Microsoft Excel, and we started realizing the importance of the systems over here. Around, it's a global study, around 70% of organizations who were having a better forecasting processes started moving towards signing up with the systems like SAP. And then they wanted to implement the systems and bring the system in place. In 2022 and 2024, we started realizing we have to get more into the depth of the systems, more into the depth of what's happening in the business. And supply chain planning, forecasting is something that can actually help us improve the systems in terms of the KPIs, the revenues, and everything. And we started working on the customer level data. We started including earlier, we were just forecasting about the number. This is my product. This is amount of number that I have to sell in. But then we started realizing that this is the customer A, customer B, customer C. Let's say if it's like 1,000 plus customers, how it would be possible. So we started working on demand modeling. Now, starting from 2025 onwards, 18 months before, we took We adapted the buzzword AI. And we wanted to move towards the AI journey, AI intelligence for the machine learning. We want our forecast to be AI generated. But AI is not something, it looks like a very sexy word. We talked about it last night on a dinner as well, a buzzword, sexy word, and all. But it's not a magic. It requires a human intervention as well. If a human intervention is not there, it will never work. It will absolutely fail. It can work on a chat GPT forms, but in supply chain, it requires human inputs all the time. How? I'll explain. These are the building blocks of AI and supply chain. Your master data should be correct, 100% correct. Long term history should be there, not like last 2 years, last 3 years. One of the bad example is COVID. I'm taking a 5 years, 7 years data. COVID would be something which would not be helpful. Stock levels, how much inventory I'm holding, what is the bad inventory, what's the good inventory. Clean historical data. For example, if I'm having any bad or I must say COVID related history that should be marked specifically. IPB decisions. IPB decisions means, for example, in my meetings, in my IBB, whatever decisions I'm taking around with my business, I want to sell in seasonality. I want to move due to the climatic change. The season is moving around. I have to move my promos. I have to postpone my plans a month or 2 months because of certain reasons. All those decisions should be input into our systems. Only then your AI will be working perfectly fine. Else, the AI would never work. Transformation journey of AI in IBP. I talked about in my first slide about the systems, processes, and the people. My I talk about the system first, where we talk about the building blocks. Now I'm coming to the people and the processes altogether. We implemented SNOP into a decade back in 2015, 2016. And then we gradually moved to 2026. We started talking about AI. The link up process with AI is IBP. Why? We were talking about the discipline, having a proper set of meetings, SNOP, MBRs, and everything in 2016 via SNOP process. Now we are talking about the strategy, which will be a predictive planning, strategic planning, and it requires IBP. What it is all about, it's about more financial, organization driven decision making. I'm having a climatic change, I have to move my promos. I am having a issue with the seasonality, I have to move my promos. I want to increase my business to that number of volume increase, like 10% volume increase. I have to do the strategic integration in the system. And once we talk about the master data, all the processes, everything is fine and aligned with the decisions that's taken in the IPP into the system, we'll definitely, our AI would be working better. It's not a buzzword, it's not a magic. It only works when we are fitting the best piece of puzzles all together. Without that, it will never work. And if everything is working well, I have a case study and an example. One FMCG company was selling an antibacterial product for a home cleaning, which was a Class C SKU. And before 2019, it was just a Class C SKU. It was not making a lot of revenue. COVID came in 2019 to 2021, and there was a sales boost of that specific product to 3x. And suddenly the SKU became the Class B or a bottom line Class A SKU. When we went into, I started planning today for the same SKU and started realizing that what's the history or historic sales in 2021, considering my AI generating demand or my next future integrated planning to set up my strategy. I considered the past 5 to 7 years of trend. My IBP was not there in the organization where I had a proper discussion that this is one of the top SKU. I need to have a promo plan. I need to have a promotional strategy over there. And we just went with the production. We just went throughout the supply chain, all the strategies were planned. But my finance, my commercial was not having any conversations in the IBP. Incorrect, the results were incorrect AI generative demand resulted in the KPIs and financial implication in form of bad inventories, in terms of the bad slobs, cogs, and everything was having an impact. Moving on to hype versus value. I was talking about the positives and the negatives both till now. I said it's a buzzword. It's a very cool word to talk about, especially with the Gen Z generation sitting over here, that we are adaptive AI supply chain generation as well. But is it actually creating a value? Yes. Everything is fine, master data is cleaned up, we are working really very well. My forecast accuracy is improved 3 to 4% every year. I can see my KPIs are getting better. My service level uplift and supply continuity is there. My demand is generated really perfectly well, and I can support with my service level for as per the customer demand. And ultimately, the organization is actually getting the benefit out of it in terms of the working capital and positive financial KPIs. That's inventory, forecast accuracy, and the rest of the KPIs. So, this was all about what we discussed. Either it's a hype or it's actually creating a value in today's world and tomorrow, because it's just a journey that has just started. We are moving on the journey, but no journey is completed until we move in the right direction, in the right way. One of the thing we talk about, and I will just pause here on that one after that note. We have in Ben's session, I was attending his presentation as well. It was a very well said discussion going on over there. He rightly pointed out one point. We just go towards with the implementation, not adaptation. If you're not adapting the systems and the processes, it will never work. It will never work. It will eventually fail. And while we want to move towards this AI journey, let's say in planning or a forecasting, in the forecasting world, we cannot take the whole system altogether. It should go in step by step, in baby steps, in bits and pieces. I was working with one of the organization in the past few days, and they told me they just pick up top 30 SKUs as the first one to move to AI, rather than moving to the rest of the 600 plus SKUs altogether. And automatically, it will help us to understand and learn what are the issues they are facing at the moment. So that's all about it from my end. If I'll open the forum for the question and answers. So yeah. Yes, please.
So much. And in practice, one of the challenges that it is that I experience is not having, I mean, AI, but having the, for instance, implementation of a new system, and then you are having some forecasts that might not be recognized by other functions, right? So in that case, it can be difficult now that you add AI on top to actually gain that buy-in from them and saying, yeah, we believe in that forecast. So did you have that challenge, and how do you manage that challenge?
I'll share a practical example. While we were talking about AI, we took the first step while implementing the system that was Kinexus. We started working on the AI to have a better strategical forecast and having every statistical forecast and everything strategy coming out of the system. There was no IBP in those days, and my commercial and my organization was not aware what's the forecast coming in, what is the promo plan, what's the customer we are targeting, the reach in the next few days or next few months. At that time, we were having a financial implications and challenges as well, and we were getting a challenge altogether that it's a wrong forecast, and my AI was failing again and again. Now these days, IBP is telling us whatever AI generated forecast you are having, you have to take it to the commercial teams, you have to take it to your commercial people in the IBP forums. That's demand planning, MBRs, SNOPs, whatever it is in your market, and just tell them this is what is the percent growth in terms of the financial coming up, and then they'll take the decision. So that's why we talk about systems, processes, and people altogether. So system connects as SAP, whatever it is, process IBP, and the people, your teams who are working on the ground.
So if I following up correctly, so you basically align after the system was giving you forecast and not working on the back front in terms of cleansing sales history and having
Yeah,
the base cleared out and basically cross functionally so that's align. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
clear.
I was pleased to see you talked about master data, but I didn't see you include it in AI to help clean master data. We have so many systems now passing data to each other, and every project you talk about, people say you must have clean data. Do you see AI helpful in maintaining master data?
Master data is actually the base before setting up the AI. So how it works? For example, in master data, what is there? Number of customers, let's say. Let's say talk about one SKU. How it works? What's the timelines for production, movements, logistics, everything. If I put AI, it will automatically pick up everything from the history. If my historically master data is fine and it's working fine, my AI will be working fine. But if I take it backward, I'll be dependent on my AI to work my master data fine, and my history is not clean, and my master data earlier was not fine, my AI will fail as well. So that's how it works.
I think this no the bigger problem happens to you and Neha here.
Hi.
I also use Kinaxis and you and now I'm with the Azure. I think I yes, there are a lot of tools coming in AI for data cleansing. One issue in demand planning we see is the active and active SKU cleanup because that is sometimes left on the fate that some demand planner will see and kill the SKU when the forecast is crashing or going out. So that part, like if you see demand planning has multiple elements, correct? Customer data, orders data, your I don't know if you're including CMI data also now, and your active, inactive, and past sales history. So do you touch everything manually before it goes in Kinaxis, or Kinaxis is doing part of it? Or how are you managing this whole cleansing cycle?
I work in a market where I'm managing around 1,000 plus SKUs. I only focus on the discussion in my IBP and in my working around for the top
Top
80,
20, yeah.
top 80 SKUs, which is around the top 20% contribution in overall business.
Correct.
What we do actually is we are not considering class C SKUs at the moment and some of the class B SKUs. What we are doing, we have totally pushed them towards the AI generated. We did some efforts as a first step, making them master data, history, everything clean. If I talk about specifically about the COVID related examples, we have taken it as outliers and removed their history from the system. Not removed, but put it as not considerable in Kinaxis. It will automatically reduce my workload. Now, in the next step, we started focusing on the top SKUs which are profitable for the business and which are accountable for that business discussions.
SNOP actually runs like that only. You focus on the top 80% contributor. The only challenge with the C class is if AI keeps on producing the forecast and they're supposed to be inactive SKUs, your production may end up creating and producing them, leading to slop. So maybe one-time cleansing will help. Just kill the SKU, and that is a very easy logic to put. You see how the sales are progressing, align with the market. AI can throw you a suggestion that okay, this particular SKU doesn't seem to be surviving for very long. Get a sign off. Otherwise, a production demand planning, it's sounds fancy that I'm focusing on the top 80, but because I used to handle from the whole category supply chain, it becomes a pain if they get produced by mistake.
One of the best model which was created for this one in GSK, in Reckitt, and I'm aware maybe in Unilever as well, I'm not very much sure, was a hub model. In the hub models, what's happening, it was created back before the IBP came in. and was integrated with IBP in the next step. What hub model explain is that there is a team of analysts who are managing these class C SQs, which are not which doesn't require very focused discussions. So every month, all those granular discussions in the systems, granular workload is managed by these hubs, by
Correct.
the analysts.
Yeah, those hubs are Capgemini,
Yeah.
which cleanse centrally
Yes.
and manually, basically.
And all the top fancy SQs, which are responsible for the business discussions, is managed by the market teams who are based in the markets and who are taking them in the IBP meetings for a further discussions and conclusions.
Still manual.
Yeah, it requires an intervention altogether, maybe not on a monthly basis, but maybe on a quarterly basis. Yeah. Any more question? I hope I have not bored you guys. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.